Okay, we are live, so we're live, and somebody should check for me. Welcome everybody to Write Treasurez Book Review. How was our day? I don't know where to actually stand here, but how are you doing? I want to check the page and see whether the life. Aha, it's getting with the thumbnail, so we're live and it's working. I need to chill. How do we share the link to live review? Jerry. Okay. That's what I want to do. So we'll be starting soon. Just give us some minutes, please. This is the first time that is running this. You pick up that link and we share it to you. It's link from message. Okay. Share it to you. So I'm gonna first read it. We know it. Did you read it? Motivations. Did you read it? You did not. You glanced through it. Okay. So we're starting now. Yep. So here we are. So the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to get to know ourselves, because a book review is not just, it's also a time to network with one another and then get to make new friends. Right. So I'll start with myself. You just introduce yourself, what you do, right? Or if you work or you're still in school, whatever is your preoccupation at the moment, just let us know. That way, if you have a business that we can patronize, we'll certainly patronize you. So we'll start off with a prayer, and let's just say a word of prayer in Jesus' name. Lord, we bless you for an opportunity for intellectual night to come together and learn. We do not take this moment for granted. The book in question is a book on salesmanship, and one of the reasons why the book is important to us is because even in the ministry you have called us as believers, we are selling Jesus. Even in our life, we are selling our personal brand and our personnel and our person. We ask Lord that this book, as we read it, it gives us as we go through it, bring out the lessons. It gives us valuable insights that we can implement in our life and our business. We pray that everyone who has attended today's book review, that after today, the boldness that will come upon us to do the work that is in our hands more beautifully and creatively. will become our portion in Jesus' name. Thank you for answers your prayers. For Jesus also name. Amen. Amen. So let's do the introduction. I'll go first. I know you know me, but I'm going to assume you don't know me. My name is Grace Onyebunse, and Write Treasurez is the business I run. It's an intellectual or human capacity building business. And we do this human capacity building through books, right? Book recommendation, book reading, book sales, and all that. So this office is where the business itself takes place, and that's why we're having this book review. So that's my name. I studied biochemistry at the University of Port Harcourt. That's my educational discipline, and I'm from Delta State. So I think that's what you can know about me. I'm sure not everybody knew I'm from Delta State, right? Not everyone. Okay, so at least you have a new information about me now. So let's take yes.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Chief Makasi. I am a food scientist by profession, or rather by discipline. And well, I decided to take it a step further. I recently started a company, a food service company. So co-founded it really, not just me. So we are about sorry, we are about um serving great snacks across the city of Port Harcourt.
The cake we ate the last time was from him. So if you enjoyed that cupcake,
Oh wow,
it's from his business.
that's nice. That's nice.
Awesome.
All right, so that's it. I've known Write Treasures for the past 8 years. Yes, and it's always a pleasure to be here. This is my first time coming here,
Yeah.
and
Thank
I'm
you.
glad.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we move this way.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening, sis.
My name is Mrs. Patient. I am an engineer by discipline and a printer by profession, by career. I'm into food production as well, the food for sick patients and aged people. So I'm from Delta State.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was a great me. That's Jerry's sister, by the way.
Wow, nice.
It's my first time coming here. I told myself today, by all means, I'll be here.
And we're glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you. Faith has been an inspirator to me since the day I met her. So I'm happy for this expansion and I really love it.
Thank you. Thank you. So, introduction.
All right.
Don't worry, he will give his grand introduction when he's.
My name is Barili Kunde.
You're an Arsenal fan. Let's
No,
not
I'm a Maya fan. No, trust not.
Okay, that's my. Oh, it's not that. That's
That introduction. It's a very good. That never happened. Anyway, I'm a United fan.
Okay.
And I'm very big on Manchester United.
Okay.
And I'm also from River State.
Okay.
So that's also. I work at Write Treasurez Bookstore.
Okay.
Yes. Sales, marketing, and the rest. All right, so that's for me.
What did you study in school?
Civil and environmental engineering.
Civil and environmental engineering. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess I go next.
Yes, you're going next.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
It's a
evening.
pleasure of seeing you, being here, seeing all of your beautiful faces. So my name is Ryan Wunu. I am I'm an X-ray technologist by profession.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I currently work with the Martin's Hospital, and
Interesting. I learning. You see?
and also pushing out career-wise, educationally, and aside from that, I'm also a money point business relationship manager.
Okay.
So if you need
Wow.
POS
Are you
services,
correct?
money
And
going,
we wanted to go patronize one person. No, even though GTV is trying to take our.
I do all of that.
Okay.
I do all of that. Alright, so I just told you my profession. I did X-ray technology.
Extreme technology. You're from River State.
I'm from River State.
Oh, nice. Is
Yeah,
it too Riveria? Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hello, my name is Afos, also from Delta State.
We have a lot of.
You have to
He's, he's,
Okay, we are from
he's not
Delta
Delta,
State.
it's not River, so he did not tell us when he's from India. I'm not Brad.
Okay, the lab technology anyway. And I work here in
Yes.
Write Treasurez Book Club. Thank you. That should be all for
now.
Okay, so our photographer, help us with your name because I know you also came here for the book review. So help us with your name.
Good evening. My name is Chidi Jamal.
Oh, yes,
I graduated as a crop scientist,
Okay.
but more sports administrator.
Sports administrator. That's quite interesting.
I'm an academy and also I'm an media professor.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Okay, it's beautiful to know all of us. Is our host ready to introduce himself? Please come and do your introduction before we move to the next words.
Yeah, well, that's not gonna go.
We have not started
Okay.
the book review.
Okay, my name is Jerry. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jerry Onosike. I am from Delta State.
Oh no.
I don't know. I don't know. Something is happening here.
If my parents were married.
Okay. Either way, I'm from Delta State.
Yeah, so.
So I am an engineer by profession.
Okay.
I did that from Delta University in 2018. And I'm into branding. I have a branding agency, Elegant Print Technologies, my company. And I'm also into book stuff like this. I'm an author, 2 books on Amazon. So and I got to know Write Treasurez in 2017, that's 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Since then, I've been a blessing to my life. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to start soon, but then if you can, why not? Let me give you my copy. But I will still take it for you because I will have to share. So I just want to do like a preamble into the book and then the author. You know, when I've read this book. First, I didn't know about the book, but a customer had called me and was like she was going through a chaotic moment in her business and said she needed the book. Coincidentally, I had moved from my friend's place to because I was living with her for like 6 years before I decided to move. I want to be in a place where so before I had to now move to start staying on my own. So I moved, borrowed money to move, so I was in debt. That was one. And then this lady calls me from nowhere and was like, business was not moving. I would post on social media, I would not see anybody buy. And I was living in a house, I was thinking of my rents. I think the whole burden of the world was upon me when she called. And she was like, she needed it and she needed for her friend. So for me, making sales of 2 books was a big deal. And I didn't have it. So I started calling everywhere that I knew. So one person now said he had it. Now, delivery fee. So I said, okay, let me not use because of delivery fee and not buy this book for this review because this book looks like something I should read. The book is talking about the greatest salesman. My sales is poor. And for somebody who is doing this business, and I'm telling people to read, why should I now be the one who will not read to improve our own career? And that was how I bought the exact copy. 2 for her and 1 for myself. And that was my first purchase of the book. And that was the only book I got from this vendor. Because at that time, I didn't even have the money to purchase. My books that I had were still there and I wasn't selling. And I felt sick, so I was really depressed. Sincerely, I was battling. That was when I understood what depression is. that somebody can be in a place where they feel that the whole world has ended for them, that you're in a place of gloom. Because I'm sparky sanguine, I rotate between sparky sanguine, choleric. In fact, I'm not sure I know my temperament. Because sometimes I think I am melancholy, and sometimes I think I am phlegm. Sometimes I can be really lazy. So I can't even say this is my temperament. So as a sparky sanguine, one thing I know is that my joy eh, can last. And then I can get angry. And then the next minute from anger, I can be happy. But this sadness was so overwhelming that it lingered for days. I can't hold sadness for days. And depression is actually sadness for days. And that was how I bought the book. So now, one for this, two for this particular person, then one for me. I bought the book. Only for the book to come, and I'm like, is it this small? That was my first impression of the book. Ah, which kind of small book is this one? This should be 2000 and either 17 or 18. Go and put on the gem, please. Please, sorry, everyone. It's our normal, it's our normal power holding. Thank you so much. So, move forward. This is the contact something. So, I think just let's sit around it. So, apologies to those of us online. It's our normal power holding thing. So, let's just go and fix the power issue. So, I bought for these two persons. I bought one for myself, and I now read the book. God, it was the breakthrough that I needed. It was the breakthrough that I needed. And while I was reading it, the way the body lifted, the way I became more happy about life, and the way business started coming. And that's the truth. You see that scripture that says, with joy you will draw out of the well of salvation. Sometimes we think that is when we are sad, thinking through the problem. They tell you desperate people are the one who makes the desperate. Yes, but your desperation should not be the one that you're facing in life with so much pain and so much anger. In the book, he talked about embracing life with love, loving each day as it comes. Right? So, as I was trying to read the book, and because I made it a culture to be repeating it every year, at the beginning of every year, before I start off the year, so that at least I can have something that motivates me, especially in the area of sales. My sales actually improved. Life actually kicked off. I won't even tell you that I didn't run into other problems, but I started seeing things from a better life, more from a better life, more from the purpose perspective. So I'll go into the author's citation. First, I actually thought the name of the author is O.G. Mandini. Honestly, that was what I thought was until I decided, okay, let me do an audio listening of the author reading the book by himself. I did research on it and I found a clip where he was reading the book by himself, and he pronounced his name as Og Mandino. So it's not OG Mandino, it's Og Mandino. So the OG is actually a full word, right? So he said he read out his own citation in the book and said as a little child that um, the mother had always told him he was going to be an author. And he kept on feeling, author how? Author where? Do you understand? What do you mean by author? But just kept on living. Well, life took him through different routes. He married, fell in love, married, had a girl. But because he, his perspective about life were what? He entered into borrowing, alcohol addiction, and he entered into debt. So he could be coming back from work and enter into a bar, drink to stupor, then come back home to his wife. You know what it means when you have an alcoholic for a husband. And then the wife would be like, what kind of of course, there's an extent to which you can tolerate someone's indiscipline. So she would worry about it. It became unbearable for the woman and the daughter because seeing your father live that way, you're creating an example for her. So the lady became worried. Moreover, they don't have enough to eat. So feeding was an issue. They were owing a lot of places. The woman just said, well, it's enough. Divorced him and went away with the daughter. It was at that point of divorce. That's why if we pay attention to pain is not really as bad as it seems. because sometimes pain tries to draw our attention to what we are doing wrong, what is not working, what is not working that we are trying to keep implementing and recycling. We just keep on recycling bad habits. So he just discovered her. This woman don't leave me, and I want to ensure that my life does not remain the same. I don't want to be that kind of a person whose life it's fine. Hmm? It's fine, okay. So I don't want to be that kind of a person whose life, after a long time, they want to read my citation on my grave, and they're saying this man lived a careless life and a wasteful life. So he started going to the library. You pick a personal development book, he will sit down, he will read. He will pick a personal development book, he will sit down, he will read. And that was how old Jim and started picking up his life one after the other. As he was picking up his life, of course, when you raise from the place of limitation, you start associating with people who are also elevated in that form. You understand? So you attract people according to the level of your mindset. He met a very lovely lady. The lady believed in him. They married. So when they married, the woman started helping him live his life. The woman actually believed in him more than he believed in himself, according to him. And so they lived, and Oji Madino wrote books. There's a book by Oji Madino that is very voluminous, the School of University. Till today, I've not been able to finish it because the book is so rich that if you read a line, you want to sit down and meditate on it. So to date, I've not been able to finish it. So he wrote the School of University, he wrote The Choice, he wrote The Greatest Assessment. The Greatest Assessment has part two. It doesn't end in this part one. There's a part two. The part two is a red cover. I've not seen it in recent times, so that's why we stopped the part one. So the book review is on the greater salesman, and I want us to really pay attention to every aspect. Here we go and start 6 years ago. So I want us to really pay attention to every aspect of the review, learn. Like I said, one of the major reasons why we have to pay attention to this book is that it's not just about salesmanship, it's about how you should run your life. Because you can't convince others to buy into a product when you have not convinced yourself about your own purpose, about your own life, and that that product is worth selling. And that's what the book is about. It's a mindset regeneration for salesmanship. So it's one of the books that I would say, if you want to be a salesperson and you want to work on your mind, you will read The Greatest Salesman. The others can tell you how you will meet a prospect, you will do this one, but as a man thinks, that is how it is. So if you don't work on the mind, if you don't um, see yourself, it's like a pastor that will come every day and be apologizing. I don't have anything to preach today, or today I just came so that we can learn anyhow from the word of God. And the person eventually dishes anyhow message from the word of God. How many members will you have left after a while? Because he does not believe in his message. Why should I believe in you? Why am I here? You talk like you don't believe in yourself. You show up like you don't matter. You show up like you don't care. So why should I care? So the book review is something that I want us to pay attention to, and we're about to start. So we'll invite our host, Mr. Jerry Onosike. I hope I pronounced it well.
Yes.
Yeah. So please, you have the floor to discuss and anchor the book review. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you. I received that.
What is it? What carry your bag?
Jerry, we are here.
What your bag?
We're waiting for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon,
You should
everyone.
sit.
Love
So
Once
that-
again, I'm so happy to be here. This time as the anchor for the book review. I'm so happy. Yes. I like to have an interactive session. So beautiful to have an interactive session with for this kind of intellectual conversation. So it's great. Thank you for this opportunity.
God bless you.
And all the entire staff of Write Treasure. I want to applaud you for putting this together.
Thank you.
It's a good thing in the era where people don't read books anymore. But a lot of us are still head over heels to books because we know the value. So and that's why we are in this gathering to encourage ourselves to benefit, to learn, and to grow. So before I start, I would like to say something. Madam Grace,
Okay.
I like to say something about you. Now, when I read this book, I was seeing some traces of the elements of this book in her. So it was after reading this book I saw that knowledge itself will come out as will come out physical, like a human being on this book, through somebody's character. So after reading this book, I was seeing some her personality has been built by so many of these things, and I saw this particular one in her. So if somebody has read a book, from now on, if you study somebody and read a book, you will know if that person has read that book. Do you know how you are? If you put it together, if you put the lessons together, compress it, and then study the life of somebody, you will see traces of that knowledge, like on their action. Especially what the book says in one of the scroll. I will act now. Now, from somebody's action, you can tell if the person has read some certain books. Why? Because these books will actually go into your subconscious and they push you into doing those actions without knowing. That's the value of knowledge. And if you see someone who's really read a book and implemented it, you will know, unless you don't pay attention. And if you really study the book, you will know what I'm saying. So, Madam Grace, thank you for giving us the opportunity. So, Ogmandino is our author for the month. We're supposed to hold this book review last Saturday, but because of River State election, we could not hold it. So we are just that means we are 1 week behind for the next book we are supposed to be reading. Am I right? Or we need the whole month to read the book. So we are talking about the greatest salesman. I don't know why Grace chose me for this month's review. Maybe because I'm into business or because I've been into public speaking for a while. I do not know. But then I am very honored and happy to do this book review. I am so happy because I like to teach and I like to teach from experience. So let's dive in. The author's name is Og Mandino, as she has already talked about it. I wanted to talk about the author, but there's no need, so don't waste time. She has already done that. So this book is titled The Greatest Salesman in the World. So first of all, if it's your first time of seeing this book or hearing about the book, you will think the book is entirely about sales. But then it is beyond sales. It is like a life hack compressed into 111 pages of content. It's a life hack entirely. That is why I started with what I started with, talking about a character. The book is not just about sales. So in fact, if you are reading it because you want to improve your marketing, your business, or your sales, you might be wrong. Because the real lesson of this book transcends sales. So it goes beyond just you selling to you making your life worth living. That's why I call it a life hack. When you get to the 10th chapter, the 11th chapter, you start seeing it from a different perspective. You no longer see sales again. You start seeing how to build your life on principles that will help you to open up opportunities, that will help you, that will give you leverage. You will start seeing a whole different world. With this book, you can navigate anything in life. With the knowledge and principles here, you can access any network, any in fact there is no impossibility. Because if you really want to achieve something, it just takes time and your zeal and your determination. Right? From what I saw in this book, if you want to be in a class of the elite, you can walk your way through it. That's what I saw. Anything is possible. So it goes beyond sales. It goes into a life. That's why I call it a life hack. If you want to be among billionaires,
This book can help you access that network of billionaires, and there are ways to access it. So the first thing that happens to you when you read this book is that it first of all transforms your mind. It transforms your mind into knowing that it is habit that gives you, that is the bedrock on for anything you want to achieve. So the book is about a man called Happy or Happy. Happy was actually the second person to receive the scrolls. The book is actually called the Ten Ancient Scrolls. The main content of this book is the Ten Ancient Scrolls. They are very short and brief, but so powerful. In fact, if you want to take excerpt, you will take the entire book as excerpt. Yes. So that's why I decided not to write anything in my journal because the entire book is what documented. So what I usually document, according to Olakule Soria, I document what is not written in the book. I document my own thoughts.
Yeah.
I document my takeaways, which are not directly verbatim from what I heard. So and that's how I do. So if I give you my own copy of this book now, you will see all of that written. I write inside my book because it's my copy. I write inside my book. So if I want to read the book again, I know where what I'm looking for is. And that's why I don't borrow my books out. I can give you money to buy it, but I will not give you my copy. That's how I operate. Because sometimes I write my business insight. If I get an insight when I'm reading it, I write it inside the book. I document it. I don't care. If I have a strategy I want to employ in my business, I will write it in that book. And why I do that is so when I'm going back to revisit that strategy, I will see the source where it came from. So I will have the originality of thought again, and then still go back to that scenario, so I can get it clear. So Hafi, a man from Damascus, was termed the greatest salesman, but then he was not the first to receive these principles. He learned from somebody who actually transferred the principles to him. But the story was about him and how he transferred it to the last person that who published it. Right? So the 10 ancient scrolls was actually documented by some of the greatest salesmen who passed it down to one person called Petrus. So Petrus was the one who passed it down to Happy. And then this 10 scroll is usually not passed down to you because you are very close to the boss or the leader of the organization. The scrolls are sacred, that there must be a divine selection for it to be passed down to you. So it took like 3 generations before this scroll was approved to be duplicated to people's hands. So this book was already in people's hands. It was in one person's hand for decades, transferred to another person and stayed for decades again, transferred to the third person and still stayed for decades before the permission to publish it was granted. So from the original source, from those who wrote it down, the instruction was after the third salesman is passing on, he has to publish it for people to see. But before that time, it should be only one person will have the knowledge. I think they were trying to test run if the secret were really worth holding for 3 generations. So Petrus was the first, Hafid was the second. The third person he passed down to is part of my questions I would like to ask those who are available. I want to say it right now. But Petrus was a businessman. He had people who made raiment for him, garments, and then he transported these raiments to different countries. I think they used most of the Bible cities, Jerusalem, Bethlehem, they used Damascus. So his goods were sold all over as the greatest salesman. And guess what? He had this distributorship at that time. He had people that sell for him as distributors all over. As at the time when there was no means of communication apart from paper and letters, he had people that were selling for him. So imagine what it means to have this kind of business at that time. To have people that you ship goods to, they sell for you, they send you back your money. So imagine what it takes. Before somebody can earn this name, greatest salesman, you know that he has transcended business beyond borders. So he was able to do that by applying the wisdom of other great salesmen. So sometimes it is not by um, what you really wish for. Sometimes something happens to you by divine connection. And that was how most of these people were selected. It's actually a divine connection. So who they passed the scroll to was divinely selected. Now, Petros had caravans that were shipped to different states and different locations where they sell for him and send him the gold, sending returns. So one day Petros woke up because he was getting old. And I said, I can't continue this business. The instruction given to me while when I received this scroll is that I will share my property when I get old and then transfer the scroll to another person. Right? This scroll actually the secret to how to sell at that time. So when he got old, the divine connection gave him a man called Afid. Afid was his servant. Afid was his servant. But Hafid was someone who actually tended to camels when travelers come to him. When some of his own salesmen in other parts of the world come back to give him feedback how the business is doing. That Hafid was a boy that tended to camels only, that tended to animals like donkeys, the transport companies. So that person was not actually part of the company per se. Hafid was just like a staff who washed cars. Let me use that.
The messenger.
Yes, the messenger. He was not really part of the sales team. Kai, the thing is so interesting. So when the time came when Petro was going to leave business, he had to do a selection process, which was an instruction in the tenth scroll. And this is how it will be. When it's time, you have to pass it down to somebody. And then instruct the person how you should pass it down to the next person. So the secrets were sacred that they have to pass through 3 generations before they will be released. It's just like this book called The Secret Success in 16 Lessons, which was later published as Think and Grow Rich. The secrets were held for decades, is it decades or centuries?
Centuries.
They did not want to release it. And it was good because if they released it, there would be too many rich people at that time. And the value of wealth.
Which supports the motion that like John Video always says that the elite always hold information.
1%. They always keep it. It's always like that. And when you start operating as an elite, you will know why you must not spill every secret that you get. And it's the same thing, they kept it for 3 generations. And even till now, people have still not read the book. Even now that it has been published. Some of us just heard of it for the first time. And some of us are just reading it for the first time. But then, the 1%, most of them have read the book. I can tell you for sure. 90% of the 1% of the people controlling power, influence, money, through wealth, they have read this book. Because you will not tell me how someone will develop a system of a chain of business that has supplies in like 30 different countries, and you don't know this secret here. I don't know how that is possible. You might have gotten your secret from some other scrolls, but then the ancient scrolls are similar. They operate like if you pick it from here, you can apply it. If you pick it from another book, you can apply it. I've seen similarities across some of these secrets. So when I read this, about 4 out of the 10, they actually things I've been practicing, and I was so glad. And I saw them in some other books, and I hold them sacred from that time to now. So let me continue. Petros had distributorship in his business. That was what made him a great salesman. He had other salesmen that were selling for him. So he had this thing called economies of scale in his business. He could scale. He was selling at a massive scale. In truth, if you really want to sell and make a lot of money, you must have distributorship, right? And that's why people partner with companies who already have access to market. Most of the FMCG, if you want to know how sales is done in this country or in Africa, you study the fast moving consumer goods. You will see their chain of supply. You don't even need to leave a pen. Sometimes just one person you will call. The person will give you access to all the company that does the supply, send it to the warehouse, send it to the market, send it to the distributors, mandate them to sell to the end user. But how do you get access to this thing? How do you get access to this kind of information? Those things are not for the public. They are usually hidden. But then this book will give you access to navigate your way into anywhere, anything. Right? Now the story goes that Hafid was his servant who was serving him in light of taking care of the camels. So when these people came, you usually see them as people that are not his class, are not his level. So one day he went back to his master Petrus and told him that he wants to be like this salesman. He also wants to be a salesman. He said that he's not finding this fulfillment, that he was not okay tending to camels alone, that he has the potential to be a salesman. So why is he not a salesman like the other salesmen that usually come and go? And you know that until your mind tells you that this place I am is not okay for me, you will never rise. Just like the prodigal son. He rose up one day and said, I will go to my father. That mindset, until it dawns on you, you will remain where you are. So you have the potential to do a lot, but until you tell yourself, I am not okay with where I am. And that was early in my life. I started reading books in 2011 or 2012. That's like how many years ago? That's like 14 years ago. The first book I read was Idea Virus by Seth Godin in 2012. The book opened my brain like this. You know the book, if you see the book cover, it's actually like a brain that was opened halfway, and then the idea is like actually opened my brain. So after that, I read Blue Ocean Strategy, then I read Peter Thiel's 0 to 1, and then I just started seeing those trends. Like this is the path I should follow. Because this one will lead you to another book, except you don't want to get knowledge. The last book she recommended to me was out last year, Richest Man in Babylon. The book was like in James. So most times when you read that book, if you cannot get the entire wisdom of the book, you have to make another one that can give you. But you shouldn't stop reading. But then I got the content of that book. So now Hafiz went to Petrus, and Petrus saw his. Petrus had to scan through this guy's mind and see if it is not greed. Because you can see your boss doing a whole lot with money, and then greed comes into your eyes. And it is easy to spot greed. It's very easy. And the instruction and principle is that you cannot give this to a greedy man. The 10 scrolls cannot be handed over to a greedy man. That's why they will judge your reason for wanting to have wealth. The question he asked him like 4 times, say, I think I should go through it. He said, why do you want to be wealthy? Why do you want to be a salesman? So the guy he wanted to beat around the bush. He asked him the direct question again, why do you want to be a salesman? So he initially gave him a reason that he wants to help his family, he wants to give to the poor. But Petrus was a wise man. He saw through all these things. He now told him it's because of this lady you're eyeing that you want to get well. The guy was confounded, so he had to admit that he was one of the rich man's daughter. He actually wants to marry her, but he doesn't have the capacity and capability to get married to her. So Petrus actually saw through that thing, but it was a genuine desire. That's why I say when it is your time, it is your time. So this guy was not judged by what he said actually. Petrus saw, and then it was a divine stuff. It was not immediately Petrus handed him over. He still had to study him and send him out to do like an experiment. Because during that experiment, that the star shone on him, that this is his chosen one. So if imagine all of those interviews, Petrus did not still see him as somebody that he hand over the scroll. So, long story short, he told him what it means to be a great salesman. He handed him over one of his expensive products, which is a rope for kids. He told him to go and sell it in a land where people complain that you cannot sell. What's the name of that place?
That was
Bethlehem.
Damascus.
No, it's Bethlehem.
Bethlehem
Because it
is
is where it was where they gave birth to Jesus.
Jesus.
yes.
So it was Bethlehem he sent him to. And over time, people had complained about Bethlehem that you can't sell in this place. That is why you hear the song that anything will come out of Bethlehem. It is true. So when he went there, truth be told, he could not sell. He did not sell. So after some days, he actually left. His master gave him the clothes to go and sell, and then gave him feeding money and money to pay rent for the time he will stay. His master is a generous person. Say if you can sell money in this clothes, come back. So now the guy thought that his passport to this thing would be selling to sell. And that is why I say this book is not really entirely about sales. Because he could not sell it and his clothes was still handed over to him.
Yes.
He did not sell.
True.
So that's why the main lesson of this book is not really sales. It is to build your life into someone who can access anything he wants in life.
True.
So it was not really about sales. So he sent Happy out and then to Jerusalem, to Bethlehem. Happy went there the first day. He booked a room, paid, and then the bed came to his window. The first day he boarded the room, he paid for a room. The bed came to his window and then entered to his window and started eating his, I think he kept some corn somewhere close to him. He started eating it. So he came to the bed and was looking at the bed, and then he was still asking himself, can I do this? Will I not disappoint my master? So how sure am I that I will deliver this? So what if I disappoint my master? The questions were too much. Now I think after some time, the bed left, then he took his bath, and then slept up. The next day he stood up and started trying to sell. Wanted to sell this one piece. Remember, his master had not taught him anything about sales. He just gave him advice and then he left. Now he tried to sell the first day, he did not sell. He tried to sell the second day, he did not sell. He started doubting himself. He tried to sell the third day. It was the fourth day, and he thought he had seen who would buy it. He still did not make any sale. He could not sell it. Then he did get angry. He did not get angry. There is one point that I would like us to get from this place. Then at about towards midnight, like maybe around between 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. so, he was already done with selling. He now went into a cave. He saw a couple. He saw a couple because he had tried his best and he could not sell. He saw a couple. Now, because of a compassionate heart, the couple, the woman just gave birth, and then the baby was cold. So he saw that these people would need something to cover them, and there was nothing in that place to cover the baby. So he looked to himself, he looked at the rope, he looked at the baby. Out of compassion, he took that thing that he was supposed to sell and gave it to the couple. When he was giving them, he didn't imagine that his boss will rain curses on him or send it away. At that point, he was moved by passion. He was moved by compassion. You know who good? It no matter. So at that point, he was moved by his own compassion, and then he gave it to them. He didn't charge them money. He left it to them that they should use it to wrap the baby. And then he left. When he went back to his room, he started weeping. He wept that he is a failure, that he could not say the single word. So I think he didn't even sleep that night. He went back to his boss that night. He went back to travel back to Damascus.
Yes, he was confident.
He came back that night. Came back to Damascus and met Petrus. But while he was coming, something amazing happened.
Which he did not notice.
Eh?
Which he did not notice.
He didn't notice. He was coming and a star was following him. A star was following him back from Bethlehem. He didn't notice. A bright star. And that night, this man could not sleep. Petrus could not sleep. Something was telling him that this night is a very unique night. So, Happy came like a prodigal son. He stood in front of the door. He could not enter. He felt bad. He felt like a failure. So, but with courage, he entered into the place and he didn't want to explain anything. When he entered and saw Petrus, could not stand. He fell down. I think he was there was crying, something like that. So Petrus didn't ask him any question. Petrus saw a very bright light, and this light was too bright that Petrus had not seen this kind of star in the night. So even he could not ask the guy question. You know, when you see something unique and divine, you will know. So he knew that this thing is not ordinary. And he knew that when the guy stood in front of him, the star stopped moving. He said this thing must be really, really unique. So Happy now started sharing his experience and his story. He told Happy to give him his story. He told Happy to give me complete story of what happened in Bethlehem. Happy, with a heavy heart, started talking. Happy gave him part of the story. He didn't want to give it all. He told me that I have time. Tell me everything. Because while he was listening to this story, he was trying to confirm who is the next person we are to hand over this scroll. Because they told me that when you see the person, you will know. I don't know why this kind of instinctive instruction will be given to somebody. It's hard though, but it's beautiful. So when you see the person, you will know.
Yeah.
And I think I've practiced this. And I really like it. When you see the person, you will know. Like 3-4 years ago, I didn't have any staff. So, but then, something told me that I cannot be working alone in this place. It's not easy. So the first set of people I wanted to employ, I actually employed them. It was not good with them. Like, I could not work with them. So, but then something told me that when you see the right person, you will know. So don't be in a hurry. So I stopped all the search for workers. I stopped. I say when I see the right person, I will know. And that was how the first staff that I stayed with for 2 years ago. So when you see the right person, you will know. And the guy has stayed for 2 years. And counting. Now he's training other staff. So exactly this instinctive instruction is something that really works. So Petro now saw that this guy was giving his story. He now gave him up to the point and he stopped. He said, no, finish up. He now got to the point where he gave out the agreement as if he was expecting Petros to scold him. Petros smiled and stood up. So he did not scold him. He now said, I saw a star when you were coming. I saw a bright light when you were coming. He said, this light I have not seen in my life. He said, you are a blessing. You're going to Jerusalem is a blessing to me. He didn't even talk about the sales again. He didn't talk about it. He left that thing. So they left that conversation, and then the Petros saw the light, and I think they went into one of his other chamber that same night. I think that was where was it that night he gave him the scroll? He said you have
He told me
been
to go and see.
called, yes, and come back the next day. Okay. So it was when he came back the next day that this star shone the whole night on that spot. So but when he came back the next day, he was already convinced that this is the man. And usually they have to hand over that scroll before they die. He was already old and weak. He had already shared his property. This scroll, in fact, I will tell all of us that are reading this thing now. Bottom line of this scroll is that if you make a lot of wealth or you amass so much wealth, you must share with the poor. You must have the needy at heart. Instruction is share 50% of your wealth every year and give to the poor. 50% of your profit. So all of them that this scroll was passed down to the MP did this. And that's why some of the richest men in the world have foundation that they put some of their wealth into. This is it's a secret, but I think it's a divine secret. I don't think it's something that is ordinary. The Bible says the more you give, the more you get. What's the other one? So blessed is the hand that giveth and the one that receiveth. So you must have a heart of being a channel of blessing, not a stop. So I think that's some of the things that the divine realm check before handing you over a massive amount of wealth. This is not checked by a man, it's checked by spirit. If you check out some people who grow old without making any impact in life, the spirit did not find them worthy to control wealth. There are factors spirit is checked. You know money is a spirit. Money responds to spiritual call. So when the spirit decides to hand you over the secrets to wealth, they have checked your spirit. You cannot fake it, you cannot lie. You cannot tell the universe that I'm a generous person. You won't lie to who now? There are things you cannot fake. If it's not in you, it's not in you. So the universe withholds certain wealth from people because their heart is not free, it's not open. Do you understand? So you must check yourself. You must check yourself to see what is my intent of really acquiring wealth? What is my intent of acquiring even knowledge? Why am I trying to do all these things? Why am I even working hard? You will check your intent. Because the posture of your heart determines what is really to do to your pocket. So I don't want to waste more time on the story, but the stories are interesting. So long story short, he transferred the scrolls to him. The scrolls were already in a jar filled with dust. Because that scroll was there for more than 30 years. Nobody touched the scroll. Because he had already mastered the scroll. So there was no point going back to read it again. The instruction is that you will read the scroll every day, until it becomes part of it. So he left it in a jar inside a very big warehouse. There was no other thing in that warehouse, only the scroll for decades. And that was it. So that day they went there, started removing some of the cobwebs for them to even see where the jar is. Then he handed over the jar. And then at that point, he had already shared his wealth among the salesmen. He had all the distributor warehouse. He gave them all the warehouse to each person's name. So if you are a distributor in this place, he will give you the entire warehouse when it's time for him to pass on. And then he will hand you over 50,000 pieces of gold to stock the warehouse again. So most of his distributors became business owners when it was time for Pedro to pass. The same thing happened to Hafiz. I think that was one of. He said, "Just keep enough money for me to survive until I die." That was it. That was his only request to the bookkeeper. That was their request. So this was how the greatest salesman's scroll was handed over to Hafiz. So the story is actually about Hafiz. Then, before we get into who Hafiz handed over the scroll to, we have to go into the scroll because that's the order of the book. The order of the book is that the scrolls were studied by Hafiz and it was used by Hafiz to do his business. So that's where the scrolls comes into play. So that's I'm just trying to follow chronology in the book, in the order of the book. Right? So all of this happened between chapter 1 and chapter 6. Chapter 7, where I think chapter 7 where the scroll started, or chapter 8. Good. Now, Hafiz on his own started studying the scroll, which is called the 10 ancient scrolls. And I have my affirmations that I picked up from this book, which I would like every one of us to have a copy right now. So that we open it to affirm together before I continue with the lessons from the 10th scroll. I would like us to have it physical so we can open and read. So while I start with the first affirmation before we go into the scroll. So there's something I didn't say. Now, genuine wealth and true wealth is not about goods and services, it's not about money. Now, the intent of the heart is where the genuine wealth is found. And genuine wealth is actually love, happiness, having the heart to share. And that is what Petros defined as genuine wealth. And that's why when you ask somebody why do you want to be wealthy, you will know if the person really has a heart to help people. Because the real wealth is the joy you derive from helping people. That is the true wealth. Because you can amass so much wealth and still be lonely. There are lonely rich people. Very lonely. Why? Because their life is not making any impact. Apart from your business can make impact, but your life may not make an impact. The impact I mean in the sense that you serve the public. Your business is actually solving a problem. But your life itself does not have any impact. So there is no connection between you and the world apart from through your business. And that in its own is not true wealth because you might die of loneliness in the end. Imagine you have so much wealth and at the age of 60, nobody comes around you to discuss or to play. You might die early. That's why people need to make investment in the things that really matter. That's why they say the most beautiful things in life are not things.
Yeah.
They are not. They are intangible. And that's what I learned from you. True wealth is of the heart. And the heart has only intangible things: love, peace, joy, patience. He said, let me read. He said, true wealth is of the heart, not of the purse. That's what I take away from the entire story of Happy and his wealth. He says, strive instead of happiness to be loved and to love. And most important, to acquire peace of mind and serenity. That's in page 20. That's in page 20. So that's what we define as true wealth. So you will now see that all the reasons for acquiring everything is not really what you can eat or what you can drink. Okay. So let me move fast. I've been able to give us the story of how the scroll was found out. So we move to chapter 8, where the scroll marked 1 begins. Yes. Now, with each of the scroll comes in an instruction. The instruction on the first scroll carries through all the other scrolls. Now, the first instruction on the first scroll is that I will read every day. That was the first instruction. I will read every day. Now, why this thing was tied to this principle is that Bible says, "Buy the truth and sell it not." It says, "Faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God." So, what you keep speaking to yourself is what your subconscious will start acting on. You know, this thing called the mind. It's like I don't know how to put it. Our mind is actually like a ground, like a soil, on which the more manure you give to it, any seed that comes in grows. And the more seed you give to it, the ground doesn't get tired of supporting trees to grow. Right? So the more seed you give to it, the more trees you can have. That's how your mind is. That's why you see one person have 22 different companies. The owner of Virgin, what's his name? Mr. Branson has how many companies?
The groups are too many.
And some of the companies have more than one product. Some of them actually are service companies. So your heart has the capacity to breed so many products, so many things. Now that's why it says read every day. Let me read how they put it here. Say, today I begin a new life. Today I shed my old skin, which had too long suffered the bruises of failure and the wounds of mediocrity. Today I am born anew, and my birthplace is a vineyard where there is fruit for all. Okay. I want to get the real. Okay, good. Now the ancient scroll marked 1. The instruction is, I will read each scroll for 30 days in this prescribed manner. That's in page 55. Before I proceed to the next scroll. Before I proceed to the next scroll. He said, I will read each scroll for 30 days in this prescribed manner before I will proceed to the next scroll. Means that the 10 scrolls took 10 months to practice. Each scroll was taken for an entire 30 days. That was the instruction. Now, why is it done? Because repetition is the key to retention, right? The more you say it to yourself, the more you know it. I had a plan of reading this book 3 times before last month end. But because I had some occasions and some engagement, I could not do it, but I had to finish it. So, but because I know that repetition is the key to retention, you cannot say something you have not seen or heard, and you can't give what you don't have. So, the first instruction, which is the first scroll, it says, I will read each scroll for 30 days. Now, this is an instruction. What 30 days means is that before that 30 days, the scroll will be in your heart already. It should have been casted on your heart, and then you start acting on it subconsciously. You know, when somebody slaps you, if you are a fighter and you don't control yourself, you will slap back without asking why you were slapped.
True.
All of these are controlled by subconscious precondition, by subconscious what's that word? Programming. Thank you. Now this is trying to reprogram your mind, and that's why I said one scroll for 30 days, one lesson for 30 days, because it's trying to reprogram your mind, and that's why I say this is a life hack. It's not just a sales book. If you can do it for 30 days, first of all, it becomes a habit. You have a habit of reading. That's the first thing to do. That's the first miracle to do to you. because if you do not make it a habit, you cannot sustain it.
True.
So now the first scroll actually define what failure is. It says failure is always described but one way. Failure is a man's inability to reach his goals in life, whether whatever they may be. Now, he said in truth, the only difference between those who have failed and those who have succeeded lies in the difference of their habits. And this is what this entire first scroll is talking about. Building habits, forming habits. You form your habits, and these habits will become systems in your life. Because any of it, whatever succeeds in life, most of the things that are thriving, whether be it the economy, be it the business, be it the personal life, the career, they are built on systems. And these systems are created from habits. Individuals can come together to set up a company, but it is their individual habits that forms the company culture. If one person is a spender, is a squanderer, the company will have a culture of spending too much because habit is transferred into systems, which is transferred into the business or whatever it is. And that's why if you see somebody ruling a country, some of the person's personal habits affect the entire economy of the country. And that's why you have to pray for the leaders who will come into the country because their personal lifestyle affects the entire economy. There is this country whose president is a very young man. What's his name? Burkina Faso. Now his personal life is affecting the economy because of his own habits. Right? Your entire life is built on habits, and that's the first thing this will talk about. He said the difference in their habits is what separates failures from those who succeed. And that's why the first thing is to teach you how to build a habit. If you can read for 30 days consecutively, you have the capacity to form habits that will change your life. That's my takeaway from this first thing. So if you read the book, you will see how these habits are formed. He said, first I will read the words in silence when I arise, then I will read the words in silence after I have partaken of my midday meal. Last, I will read the words again, just before I retire at day's end. And most important, on this occasion, I will read the words aloud. That means he was reading it 3 times a day. You see the routine? 3 times a day. And then for 30 days. So if imagine you read something out to yourself 90 times, there is no way it will not stick to your heart. So that is what this book is all about. The book is so sweet to us. I love it. Because if you want to change a bad habit, you have to form a new one.
True.
If you want to change your life, you have to form new habits. Do you understand? If your health is deteriorating, you need to change your habits to improve on your health. If your mind is fallow, that negative things come in, you need to change your habit to know what to invest into your mind. If you spend too much, you change your habit of controlling your spending. Everything about life is habit. It's built on habit. And that's why the first thing here is habit. Do you understand? So I think our mantra, our first affirmation I would like us to read together is simply 52. I have just 4 affirmations in this book that we will read together. We read together. Then at the end of this book review, I will ask us some questions that I did not understand.
We are ready to reply and
Very
answer.
good. So page 52, the last paragraph where it begins with failure. It says failure no longer will be my payment. Let us read together. If you are
Page
there.
52.
Yes, page 52.
Okay.
The last paragraph. It says what?
Failure no longer will be my payment for struggle.
Yes.
Just as nature made no provision for my body to tolerate pain, neither has it made any provision for my life to suffer failure. Failure, like pain, is alien to my life. In the past, I accepted it as I accepted pain.
Now I reject it
and I am prepared for wisdom and principles
which
to
guide
guide
me
me
out
out
of
of
shadows
shadows into the sunlight of wealth, position, and happiness
far beyond my most extravagant dreams, until even the golden apples in the garden of Hesperides will say no more than just my reward. Now this will place you among the elite thinkers. Just this affirmation alone, that the golden apples in the garden of Hesperides will become your reward. That means the beautiful things of life will be your reward. the best things of life, the luxurious things to be your rewards. You will not see them as something that is not worth coming to you. That's the first mind shift that you have. That the most interesting things of life are for you. And once your mind shifts that way, you can take on any task in life that will make you great. That's why I had to cycle this as an affirmation. When I saw that golden apple of the Garden of Hesperide, I said, this is when the people are not born with silver spoon. These things are for us, whether you are born with it or not. You are supposed to fly business class anywhere you want to travel to.
Yeah.
It is for you. Those things are not for angels, they are for humans. If you want to have your party in Dubai, you should be able to travel and go with your friends, board the entire aircraft and go with them. If you want to feed 5,000 people, you should be able to feed them. These things are for you. And that's why the golden apples are for me. They are my reward. Good. So, it's another one that is interesting. I will leave it for the end. Let's move to the next one. Chapter 9. It says the scroll mark 2. Now, this scroll, the second scroll, is talking about very high optimism. Please, how many minutes more do I have? So I know how to.
We have almost less than 15
10
minutes.
minutes. Okay, I'll just rush up. So the second scroll says, I will greet this day with love in my heart. Now I like how the author writes this book. He will write out the what he wants you to memorize before he gives you details of that particular section. He said, I will greet this day with love in my heart. Now this particular scroll is actually about you being optimistic, you being open-minded, you being cheerful, you being empathetic. I will greet this day with love in my heart. And he goes on to explain to us why a salesman must understand why you should love. Now, if you love your client, you tell yourself, I love this client. Now, you will not shout at the client when the client tells you, I can't buy from you. The product is of low quality. You will not get angry, you will not start quarreling, you will not start fighting. Why? Because you're acting from the point of love. And you see those things, they can change the heart of the client. You say, kind words, does what? I've forgotten what he said. Kind words soften the heart of king or something. Forgotten what that thing said. But then, when you express love,
Soft answer, don't say words. Is that it?
good. So now they will feel it from you. If you are talking from a point of anger, your client will see it. If you are talking from a point of love, your client will see it. You cannot fake it. These things will come out. And that's why you must guide your heart with all diligence. You must be able to plant in love in your heart so that when you want to talk, when you are doing a sales pitch, you will talk from a point of love and they will all see it. Right? So he said, I will do this day with love in my heart. Now you have to see the good in everything. That's what this class is talking about. You must see the good in everything. And then in page 59, the last paragraph there is talking about relationship management. But I won't go details into that. You must manage your relationship as a salesman, as a good salesman. Because every conversation is an opportunity to sell. So you must learn how to manage your relationships, friends, family, your colleague, your network entirely. Every opportunity you have to discuss is an opportunity to sell. So you must know what you are selling. Right? Okay, this is why I know that the most beautiful things are not there. He said the shield of love is stronger than the force of adversity and discouragement. That's why when you say I love my customers, no matter what they throw at you, that love will shield you from replying them in a negative way. And there are people who are very good at this thing. So it was after I read this book and I started looking at all the people I know in this life. You will just see some people, they never get angry. I don't know how they do it. No matter what you say. Even if they get angry, they will control the anger. You won't know that they are angry. Oh. That is so powerful.
It is so.
I'm trying to
I
learn.
want to learn it.
It's so cool. They will control it, and those people are very good salesmen. Because now, how you handle an issue, the person will go back and start considering himself. And then over time, that person can be your client for life. He says there's something he says somewhere that this thing, even if you cannot sell something worth 1 piece of gold today, you'll be able to sell a tree for the worth of an estate to that same client because of love. I think I forgot where it is.
Yeah, I think it's in that school.
It's around this place. So what I documented is that love conquers all things. Okay, I move to the third scroll, verse 63. The scroll mark 3. It said, I will persist until I succeed. And this is where I saw one of my mentors, something that is like his voice, at J.O. He says, I was not delivered into the world in defeat. That's the second paragraph in page 64. I was not delivered into the world or in defeat, nor does failure course in my veins. I am not a sheep waiting to be prodded by the shepherd. I am a lion, and I refuse to talk,
Yeah,
to
I like
walk,
that part.
to sleep with the sheep. I will hear not those who weep and complain about pain economy, for their disease is contagious. Let them join the sheep. The slaughterhouse of failure is not my destiny. So there are things we have learned over time that we should not lament too much about the economy, especially in public. It is not our thing, it's for the sheep. That's why we said on that thing. You can never be among the poor masses. Now those people are most likely the slaughterhouse of failure is where they are destined to be. Now when you focus on a problem, the problem magnifies itself.
Sure.
But as an elite thinker, you focus on elevating your own self to rise above. There are people in this country that no matter the economy goes bad, they cannot feel it. Somebody say he doesn't know the cost of fuel, he doesn't know the price of petrol in the filling station because he doesn't even drive his own car to buy fuel. He has people he sends to buy fuel. Whenever he's going, he has a driver. He doesn't care about what they pay for the fuel. He doesn't care about the cost of food in the market. It's not his problem. So they are using above the economy. There are people who they don't even know price of things, even clothes they wear, they don't care. They just come out and wear clothes and come out and go to their place meeting and come back in the evening. It's interesting. So instead of complaining and keeping yourself among sheep, because you are not a sheep, do not stay with the sheep. So what I say is that in business, every new habit eventually breaks existing systems or build new ones, which could be beneficial or detrimental. Only time will tell. So if you are someone who is building a business or a brand, you also like it's your habit that forms the company culture in that brand. So I like something that it says here. It says, where dry desert ends, green grass grows. That is why persistence comes in. So where dry desert ends, green grass grows. So if you can spot the end of a desert, that means you have seen the beginning of the vegetation. So
On page, sir.
page 65. And that's what persistence. Persistence will allow you to get to the end of the desert. That's the meaning. You might be going through your desert phase, you might be going through your wilderness phase, but at the end of it, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. That's what the scroll number 3 teaches us, to persist. Okay, so I'll move on very fast. Scroll number 4. It says, I am nature's greatest miracle, 68, page 68. This is my favorite part of the book. Why? Because I love uniqueness. I love talking about the uniqueness of a man. He said, even the blades of grass, there is no two blades that are alike. As much as the grass is out on the field, worldwide, no two blades are alike. If you carry a microscope and look at two blades of grass, you will see that they have different design. There is always uniqueness in every man. And that's why this is my favorite part. Scroll mark 4. I am nature's greatest miracle. That means there will never be anyone like you again in this world. And there has never been anyone like you in this world. So the combination of your traits and your attributes cannot be found in any other person again in this world. If you leave this earth, that combination will not be given to another person. The colors, the skin color, how you talk, how you walk, how you play, what you know, what you learn, the relationships you have, Nobody can have that same thing you do in this world. That means your uniqueness must be employed. There's something I would like to say here. And I love it when they talk about capitalism. It says, henceforth I will capitalize on this difference, for it is an asset to be promoted to the fullest. There's something called unique selling proposition. Every company has it, every human being has it, every business has it. And your uniqueness is something you should not trade for anybody, it's your secret. But you must master it, you must understand it, right? And that's why I love this, because competition is for losers. If somebody comes and tell you, we have this in common, let's be friends. You should not be friends because you have something in common. You should be friends because you have uniqueness that you can offer as advantage, right? So your network should be able to offer you a leverage that you cannot have on your own. So people are not really commended for similarities. People are commended for uniqueness. So page 70 says, why can I not extend that miracle to my days of today? I like it when you ask the why questions to yourself, because that's where transformation starts from. And that's why this book straight that says start with why. Could be my next book. I will read it alongside the next book. It's in my already bought the book for you. You have forgotten. Is it at that place I bought the book or here?
No, the other side.
Uh-huh.
He brought it
Okay,
to
he
you.
was not there.
Okay. Was I the one who brought it to
You
you?
showed it to me that day. I picked it myself.
Okay.
Start with why.
That was right.
Good. Now, why is a transformative question? If you ask yourself, why am I here? Why am I doing this? When I was going for IT in my engineering career, they told us that the greatest question you should ask is why. If you are in a place you are learning, if they tell you, pick this book from here and put it here, you ask why. Don't just do it sheepishly, you are not a sheep. Why do you need to ask that why question? Because the next time you will need to pick that book from there, the person who supervises you will not be there. And you will not know if it is a wrong timing you're supposed to pick it up or not. You should always ask why. The first thing I change my staff is to ask why. If I send you a message, if you don't ask me why, I'll call you back.
Are you for me?
Yes.
I'll be bored.
Very intentional.
I'll be bored when you ask me this.
If I tell you do this thing,
You
you
should
don't
know.
ask me why.
Oh,
No, at least for the
it
first
doesn't make
stages when you are learning,
sense.
you should ask me why. I really like that why question.
Or except that we are having a section, right? And you've done a thing over and over, and you want to find out why is this thing done like this.
That's
so you need an explanation.
When you are learning, you must ask.
But not the why that makes me feel like you don't want to do it.
No, that's a different.
And
That's a
you
different
want
intention. The reason for this one is the question is so you know because you need to work on autopilot later on in life.
Yes.
So when people ask the why often, they can actually work alone. It builds a system. Let me just use that word. But I like to use the word autopilot. It builds a system that can coordinate itself. I didn't go to work today. And there are some calls my staff will call me. I will ask you, this is not the time you should be asking me this question. You should ask me when I'm with you physically. Like one day my staff asked me what's the price of the car. I said, don't ask me that. I've told you to come and collect this list and write it. So there are things you should know already. Because if you ask the right question early in your career, you will go far within a short time. The right question is important. And that's when you meet some of the greatest people in life. The questions you should be asking them is the why question. So when you see the intent of people's heart, you will now judge your own self with the intention. Okay? So there's something he said about work-life balance here. The guy said something that struck me. He said, I will leave my business conversations when I close on business. Yeah. I will focus on my family when I get to the home. I will not allow my family matter to disturb me in my business place. The guy separated it in a very blunt line. And I saw this thing as something that is
and I think employers of labor should learn
yes.
that. When my staff is not working, I don't bother them, except it is really necessary. But we have people who pop close into people's time. Yes. When I was working for people, it was one thing I hated. And I told myself, when I have staff, if they're on holiday, I'm not bothering them. No. But please, if you're working for me, the work hours, please invest that time. That's just not.
There's something I told her one day. She called my graphic designer at an odd hour and she designed something for her. I told her for 2 years I've employed this guy. I've never called him, asked him to talk to me.
Wow.
To send me or to open his laptop to do anything for me. I have not. I told her, ask him. I have not done it. I would rather go with my own laptop.
Sometimes when you guys have like extended work hours? Because I've come to your office and there are times when you are trying to mass produce items for, like, let's say you have 1,000 items you're printing on. So how do you handle such issues?
Now, I leave it to his will, to the
Okay.
will of the staff. Like
Okay.
if he decides to work extra hours, especially at night. All of us can work extra hours in the evening. But when you close, you are done with the day's job. That's my policy. I have never called in and said, even send me this file. I would rather tell you, I'll send you on WhatsApp before that time. Just send it to me before you leave the office. Send it to me. Now, even if you left the office before you send it, that's your business. But
Okay.
I will not call you past my normal time because I don't like that stuff. In fact, when I saw this, I was so happy. And it helps you to achieve this work-life balance. Why? Because so that if the person brings his family matter to your business, you can scold him. Like if your emotions start affecting the operations for the day,
What if the person really just wants it? It's not like they bring it as a habit.
yes, that's why if you are open to your people, you will know.
There's another thing too, right? So this happens most especially with medical practitioners who spend more of their time in the hospital facilities. I see that because they spend more time there, they don't really have so much time to socialize out of that environment. So it is the time they have there that they
Still their social
they
life.
used to interact with fellow colleagues, talk about some of the things they are
Yeah.
going through, and then get insight on whatever it is that that they are currently tackling. So how do you balance that?
So now in that case, they actually discuss with their profession. That's why medical doctors, if they have a one-on-one conversation with you, they actually mix up everything.
Everything.
Now, because
Actually, they do.
in that case, you do not have a choice. You cannot have a choice. You just have to, and they know how they do it actually. They don't just intrude into people and start doing family matter. They know when the conversation will drive towards that direction, and then they'll just
It will not stop them from attending to a patient.
good. Doctors are multitaskers. They are very great at multitasking. They can be discussing this issue now and be doing something critical. Then their brain, I don't know how it is wired. Doctors are very critical people. So in the case of medical doctors, don't go there. Those people are very professional at handling multitasks at once. So those set of people now, I don't think there is a barrier for their own. Because one of my medical doctor friends, she said she can sleep just 2 hours a day and she's okay.
Hey.
I said, yeah, I will just
just
like,
three.
that's what she said. She said she can't even sleep
You
for
will
too
take
long.
any extra pills for that?
No, your body is programmed.
Yeah, it's just the programming.
You know,
Is it really a right program?
Is there a
That question is a symposium discussion. Because
Are you sure you will live long?
that's the question I asked her. That's the question I asked her. I said that means from your own experience, sleep is overrated.
Yes, we have a wrong impression of sleep.
Sleep is
Right?
overrated.
We have been told that
You must-
sleep is the only way you can
Yes.
rest. But then you can rest while doing anything else.
But really, why was
Your body needs 8 hours of rest, not 8 hours of sleep.
Sleep.
So if you're
was the
sleeping
misconception
8
we
hours
had.
every single day of your life, that means you're wasting
that
hours.
is, you need to define rest for me?
Good.
Yeah.
Medically, rest is a state of your
Can I
body.
really, especially Nigeria, can you really rest without
That's-
sleeping?
Yes.
I think she explained
How?
that to me. She said she can
You are
just
not
sleep.
working.
She said she can just leave the environment where people are discussing.
Do you
And
know that?
just stay in a quiet place.
Do you know that the time you spend
Just close her eyes.
in
Like she can sit down and close her eyes.
is a rest.
Sit down and close her eyes like this.
You spend
10
in
minutes.
meditating can be accounted
Yes.
for as
Once her
rest.
mind is relaxed, she said she has
Any
rested.
period
And
you
she's
can
good.
find,
She can continue her
I
work.
cannot even, the night I tried meditation, I had scattered.
that is the thing.
I don't know how to do that.
That is why I want to stay close to medical
I
doctors
must
because
sleep
I
close.
feel I sleep too much.
Not the sleep.
I sleep too much.
And the sleep,
I feel like
the
sleeping.
sleep, okay, they
I
see
don't
sleep
like
as,
it because
we
it's
see
really
sleep
helpful.
as unproductive rest.
Are you serious?
You can have a productive
You
rest.
know that if you go into the mind of a medical practitioner, you will be shocked what's there. Because then I interacted with my
Sleep can be then as unproductive.
Unproductive rest. It can be excessively. It's unproductive.
so I told her that I sleep for 7 hours a day, 6 to 7 hours a day. She said it's too much. And I told her it's too small. I said I'm
Yes,
trying
from what we know normally, it's too
Yes.
small.
I told her that I'm trying to achieve 8 hours of rest every day. She said, no, you're wasting your life.
Hey.
So she was not giving me instances like you said. So I was trying to employ that perspective. Now I can sleep 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I wake up by 6, I'm okay. But I have not seen a way to balance it because sometimes I will doze up in the office. And sometimes if I do that for 2-3 days consecutively, the fourth day I will sleep
back.
excessively.
Yes. The thing is, you need to start training your
I will
your
come and
body
work with you
clock.
guys. I'll work with you.
You need to start training your body clock, and you start, take one deep at a time. You know, just do the whole I want you.
I will come back and work with you guys. So I want to move on. In page 70 it says something. It said, I will strain my potential until it cries for mercy.
Hey.
This is cruel.
Yeah.
But then it is the harsh truth.
It's the way to
Hi!
maximize your potential.
You know when I thought of it, I saw that I've wasted a lot of which recently one of my friends is someone that pushes the boundaries to what you can do with your potential. She was around me for like 2 weeks recently. She gave me my project. Now when I'm around her, I usually see that I'm wasting a lot of potential. Do you know that leveraging potentials are always around you? Sometimes you can achieve something without your own money.
Yeah.
That will start helping you. You can achieve something without your own wisdom. You can achieve something without your own connection. Leverage. So then I saw this, I've been stretching my potential of the Christ of mercy. I say, oh God, what is this? Oh Mandino. So what I deduce from that is that some of us are prodigal sons and daughters to our potential. We only picked up a few assets and left the entire box of uniqueness unopened. I will read it again so we might agree together.
Which one?
I say some of us are prodigal sons and daughters to our potential. We only picked up a few assets. It's not in your book.
Okay.
We only picked up a few assets and left the entire box of uniqueness unopened.
True.
We are prodigal sons and daughters. Let us agree.
We are even part of the guy who did his talent. Just that we are exploring some, and we think that because we're exploring some,
We
we're
should
really doing
yes,
talents.
that's the idea. So we think and it's beclouding us. So me, I just think myself as a prodigal son. Because I know a lot of my potential is unused. I know a lot.
But in the light of not seeing yourself as a failure and as a lion, should you
Yes.
think of yourself as a
It
critical
is
son?
still the prodigal son. Do you know if the lion has the capacity of killing 3 to 4 animals per day? While if it cares to feed other lions, it can do that.
It's true.
If it doesn't care to feed other lions, it will just kill what it needs
And go away.
and rest. That's an unused potential because it doesn't see a need for it. It's an unused potential. It doesn't mean you are maximizing your capability. It doesn't mean you are maximizing your capacity. Because in this life, if you can make ₦1 million a month for yourself and your needs is like 800K a month, right? If you can push it to 2 million, that means you can solve other people's needs with that extra 1 million.
Sure.
And there are people who doesn't have the potential to do that. So you pushing your boundaries because of the things you know, because of the network you have, because of all the things God has given to you, the assets, the connection, the leverage. You pushing yourself is like feeding an extra mouth. And there's something this guy said in the scroll. He said, let me just say it from my head. He said, I'll be doing this set of people a dissatisfaction if I don't push myself to get more. Forgotten where it is, but I'll see it because I wrote it somewhere. He said, me pushing myself to do more is me helping those other people.
I think we should just move to the last clue
Yes.
because you're already behind schedule.
Yes, I want to go to where the other affirmations are. Good. Let's go to page 88, the 8th scroll.
Okay.
The 8th scroll, he said, today I will multiply my value 100-fold.
Okay, yeah.
There's something I wrote here. He said, with the clay which bears my name, I shall multiply its value 1,000-fold. What is the clay that bears your name? Your flesh, your body. So with the clay that bears my name, I shall multiply its value 1,000-fold. Right? So it means multiplying your value, your uniqueness should be combined into solving more problems than what you are solving. So the bottom line is to go back into your drawing board, bring out your uniqueness, document it, see the combinations of things you have, see your entire assets, and start combining them in a way that can solve problems. There was something I learned from quantitative reasoning and verbal aptitude in primary school. You will see some things crossing each other, leading to each other like this. They will lead from here, combine this and this to get this. Those things they learn in primary school. Those are the secrets to maximizing our potential. You can combine your way of talking with another of your uniqueness to start up something that is an added advantage to
Your progress.
Right.
Yeah.
you. So let's go to page 90. It's one of the affirmation I wrote down there. Page 90, the last paragraph. But we are not starting from the first sentence. We are starting from the fifth line, which says, "Only a worm is free."
The last paragraph.
Yes, last paragraph, page 90. So I'm not starting from today or the height. I'm starting from one of the fifth line also. Only a worm is free from worry or stumbling. Let's read together.
Only a worm is free from the worry of stumbling. I am not a worm. I am not an onion plant. I am not a sheep. I am a man. Let others build a cave with their clay. I will build a castle with mine.
I am not a worm.
So I don't worry.
Hi. He said because it's only a worm that is free from worry or stumbling because it's already on the ground and doesn't have any physical part that can fall. So it's a worm. So if you are too careful and too conscious of falling, it means you don't want to participate in what is happening in life. Now, where he talks about I'm not an onion plant, it was in I think chapter 4, chapter 5, where he says an onion plant does what? Can grow within a short time or something like that, and then this other plant takes a long time, but then it stays more in life, like an iroko tree. That was where he talked about you building yourself into something that can last. So that's where he referred back to I am not an onion plant. So let's move to page 91, the third affirmation, which also leads me to the last one. Page 91, the last chapter, the last paragraph. Yes. After the today I will multiply. The next line.
I will commit.
Let's start.
I will commit not to the terrible crime of aiming too low. I will do the work that a failure will not do. I will always let my reach exceed my grasp. I will never be content with my performance in the market.
These are the ideals that can transform. Yes.
It's refreshing to read it again.
Yeah. So I'll move to the last affirmation in the ninth scroll. The ninth scroll says, I will act now. This is actually the second favorite, but we don't have time. So I'll move to the page 96, where the fourth affirmation is. The last paragraph also.
Yeah.
The last paragraph of page 96. Are we there?
Yeah.
Okay. Page 96, it says, let's start.
For
For now is all I have. Tomorrow is the day reserved for the labor of the lazy. I am not lazy. Tomorrow is the day when the evil become good. I am not evil. Tomorrow is the day when the weak become strong. I am not weak. Tomorrow is the day when the failure will succeed. I am not a failure. I will act now.
Woo! When the
Tomorrow is the day for all these things, but I am not any of this. So I will act now. The action there.
Now.
Yes. So the last one, the last scroll is actually a prayer that is teaching us how to pray as salesmen, as businessmen. Right? And then I came to the conclusion where this story gave us an insight of a Bible story. And then they now led it. Do you know this part of the story there? It was like, it's not part of this book. I don't understand why. How? I don't get it. Now it now brought me back to when this happy went to Bethlehem to sell. Then I said, why is Paul's story coming here? Why is Paul falling blind in this book? Why is Apostle Paul in this book? So he now told us about Apostle Paul, how he was persecuting people, and then he became blind. I went to Damascus. I now saw where Apostle Paul came to meet Hafiz. And the good thing about the story is that it's a twister. Where Hafiz failed to sell was where Jesus Christ was born.
Yes.
And the family he gave that clothes was actually Joseph and Mary.
Amazing.
It's so funny. So Hafiz gave to the creator of the universe, and then it was accounted to him as the greatest salesman because he was selling out of emotion. There was one chapter here that talked about emotion, controlling your emotion. Now he sold out of emotion, and then he sold to the right person at no cost, and that was accounted to him as the best sales he did. Because when you know when to actually do something, that thing is like discernment, and it is higher than
The
what
product
you need.
met a crucial need.
Good, you solve the problem.
Yeah.
That's why they say when you meet this person, you will know. So the interesting part is that he met a need with that product, even though he was not rewarded immediately. The reward was from the universe. The reward is that he saw where to get this product. He saw what to do and he knew when to do it. That was the reward. The reward came because his instinct led him right. So I think there's a reward for instinct.
Yes, there is.
There's a reward for working with your instinct.
So take us through the how Paul came into the situation.
Okay, good.
So that we can.
Okay. So, good. Now, Paul, as Christians and believers all know, was the persecutor. So he was persecuting Christians and he was sent to do his job, and he was known to do one job, to bring all people who believe in Jesus Christ to prison. That was his job. That was his role. That was what he was playing. And at that point, Happy had not heard of Jesus. So, but Happy was in Damascus. Paul persecuted people, and when he came to Damascus with a letter to arrest Christians, he became blind. Now, in that Damascus, because the person who helped Jesus at birth was in Damascus, what's it called? What was it called? The persecutor had to go blind because the person who helped Jesus is in Damascus.
That's not in the Bible.
The persecutor must go blind.
I'm not sure it's in the Bible.
It's not in the Bible, but it makes so much sense.
Yes.
The persecutor must go blind for your sake. That instinct that led you so many years ago will save you again in the future. And it will bring you the gospel. Now, the gospel in another light might not be the good news of the birth and death of Jesus Christ. It could be something else that you need to know in life that you may not already know. So now, that action of giving Jesus Christ, that is Mary and Peter and Joseph, his robe, was what led Jesus to get Paul blind. Because the person that helped, even everywhere in the Bible where somebody helps Jesus, you know, whatever happens in that city, they are always saved. The people that gave these two prophets a shelter, when destruction came in, they were exempted from it. So Paul had to go blind because the person that welcomed the Messiah was
coming to
in Damascus.
persecute the people of God in Damascus. You understand the story?
Yeah.
So now, because the Christians are in Damascus, now if you had gone to go and capture these people, you're going to kill this one who gave me a robe. So Jesus now found the opportunity to say, so why are you persecuting me? Came and questioned Paul and made him blind.
So that action was what led to Paul starting his own ministry. The action of Happy giving a rope.
So it's like a ripple effect.
So the action of Happy giving a rope to the couple who were still homeless was what led to the gospel coming through Paul to Damascus. So that is why the scroll was always passed down to people who are divinely selected.
Because a careless person with his demons.
Good. You cannot pass down to you. Cannot. So now Paul was sent to Damascus to persecute, but then he became blind, and then somebody came in the name of Ananias to pray for him, and then he received the sight. And the first place he went to after he received the sight was the house of Happy. It's Paul that went there. Paul went there with tattered clothes, but he was not a poor man. Paul was not a poor man. He was a Roman citizen and a Jewish citizen at the same time. He
Yes,
had dual
that's it.
citizenship.
Yeah.
So Paul himself was an asset, and Paul knew his asset. Paul knew his uniqueness. Some of these qualities, he already knew them. Paul knew how to
So he
leverage on
embodied the
his
greatest self.
connection. So he had it already. Do you get?
And then he's one of the profound um, seller of the goodness
Good.
in his time.
Now it is linked to him as the next person to handle the scope, because to whom much is given, much is required, much is expected. And if you are given the assignment to write the books Paul wrote, you will be given the scrolls you need. You'll be given the capacity, you'll be given the power, you'll be given the resources. And that's why I say you must check the intent of your heart. If great wealth will be passed down to you from any way, even through a scroll or through a book, if you will ever see that one book that will give you the access to what you want in life, the intent of the heart must be checked. Do you know? So if you get to a stage where you have no need for selfish desires, no need for your selfish needs, for your personal needs, selfish doesn't mean you are actually greedy. Your own personal needs, like you don't have too much eye for them, like you are not too bothered about your personal needs. You just want to get things done so that you can survive and then make your impact, right? There are people like that. Now the universe will find you worthy to pass down the scroll that will make you the greatest salesman. So as at the time when Paul was persecuting Christians, he was not really doing it because of himself.
Yeah.
Do you know that enthusiasm is not found in any other person?
He was actually doing it from a pure motive.
Yes.
As a Jewish
The
citizen.
Jewish citizen. He was carrying out the ordeals of the Jews.
So he still had a pure intent, and that was why grace found
That was
him.
like this. And that was why he was given that assignment to
See
do
how
what
Christ was
only
linked to
Saul did. So the assignment came to him. So when he came to this Happy to receive the scroll, he was not there to receive the scroll, but it was a divine connection. He was led to the house of Happy. And Happy was in possession of the scroll, the only man in possession of the 10 ancient scroll. So at that point, Happy had a conversation with him. And then when Paul started talking, the old man's eyes was open. It was not like he had seen a light that he has not seen in a long time. Maybe that kind of light he saw when his master saw that light. So he saw it in the conversation of God. And that thing can only be seen when you have an encounter with a divine, with the divine man. When you have an encounter with Jesus Christ, there's something you will exude that words cannot tell. And that's why bulk of what I learned from here, I cannot write them. Bulk of the things that you will learn from the greatest salesman are not things that you can document, are not things that you can say. There are things that will just be in your
like an
subconscious.
experience.
They will just be there. They will tumble your
Like
mind.
you know.
It's hard
There
to
was
explain.
another guy that told me to sell this book to me when I bought it. Dr. Joel. I sold the book to him. He read it. The next thing he called me was, "Grace, this book is something else." He was screaming. And I was trying to make him explain, like, what exactly. He's pointing, but he's still telling you there is more. That's just what the Lord is.
So at a point in this book, I said there is no point writing. You know, this is my diary I wanted to write. I wrote only 3 lines and stop.
Jesus,
I had to write them inside the book. I was supposed to write it and write it at the same time when I'm reading. But there was no need for that. So Paul became the next greatest salesman. And from the beginning of the story, the third person that received the scroll would publish it to the public.
So that was how Apostle Paul was the one who
Who published all the books. And so most of the books Apostle Paul wrote, they are wisdom for business, wisdom for personal development, wisdom for church growth, wisdom for anything. So most of the books Apostle Paul wrote are filled with principles and structures for building anything you want in life. A system of running a business, a system of running a church, a system of running your personal life, a system of personal growth.
He that desires the position of a bishop. So he's describing what he should.
So you will see all the systems that you can build. So that was why Apostle Paul had the 10 scrolls handed down to him. So all the letters Apostle Paul wrote were from the inspiration he got by encounter, and in the voice of this book by the 10 scrolls.
See, what did I believe there? I believe something. Because there's a way Francis Rivers will tell biblical stories. I don't know. I'm still trying to feel it's fictional. Whatever we're reading here is fictional, right? It's not really that was how it happened. But there are some kind of revelation that comes that leads you to another truth that now opens your eyes to see this is how really there is truth in this. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So I don't know how
Og
Mandino I don't know how Og Mandino did it, but I feel he must have stayed in the place of it because he wrote this book from the place of all the principles he applied to change his life. And Bible was one of his founding
Yes. Yeah. That's right.
changing to. You understand? So how do I tell people that Bible changed me? Because you're talking to a secular space.
Yes.
They don't know.
So you have to
They don't
start
know
with a
Jesus.
And they don't
story.
want
So you have
to.
to start from their known
From the unknown to the
and bring
unknown.
them to the unknown. That was what he did.
And you see this thing he did here is not from the physical realm.
That was what he did with this.
Yes. I think at this point, when I got to this point while reading it, I had this eureka moment that I could relate with. The last time I had this was when I read The Alchemist. All right. Yeah, where they brought in a twist like this too. I think it was about
San Diego.
yeah San Diego, but not really San Diego. Where the point where he met
Melchizedek.
Yeah,
Have you read it, Barry? You need to read it.
that point when he met Melchizedek, and then I started trying to wrap my head around. I'm like, oh really? And then the whole description and everything. The interesting part was that as at the time this guy was writing this thing, right? It was not interesting. As at that point, and it made a whole lot of sense. It gave me inspiration to go back to read the Bible.
Actually.
So I want to wrap up.
Wrap up, we need to go.
Yes, I want to wrap up.
This is
So now my wrap up will be an interactive session. It's short one, 2 minutes. So page 86 is where my question is. Page 86 is a question that I could not explain to myself.
Page what?
Page 86. Yes, page 86, the first paragraph. It actually began from page 85.
86.
Yes, but
So
that
what's the question?
okay. The question is, let's read the paragraph together.
Which of the paragraph?
Page 86, the first paragraph that begins with each day.
Each day
Yes.
will be a try. Okay, sorry,
One,
let's
two,
do it
one,
together.
two, go.
Each
day
will be triumphant. Only when my
my
smiles bring forth smiles
of
from
others.
others. And this
I
I
do
do
in selfishness for
For
those
those
on
on
whom
whom
I
I
frown
frown
on,
are those
and those
who purchase not my
goods.
So, my question is that does he smile only at people who purchase the goods and frown at those who do not purchase the goods?
No, that's not it. What he's saying is that I will frown at everybody, but if I reflect back, I will discover that the people who did not purchase my goods, or I'm using this one because I said good, the people who did not purchase my goods are the people who are not smiling. Read it again. Say, each day will be triumphant only when my smiles bring forth another smile from others. And this I will do in selfishness, knowing fully whether when I smile, they smile to benefit me. So, for those on whom I frown are those who purchase not my goods. That's previously. Those that did not purchase my goods are those that I did not smile at that time. I will tell you one instance. I went to sell books at what do they call it? This hi God. There's this particular place here that's opposite next time. There's a building there, one event center. It's not autograph. There's another event center.
Yeah.
There's another event center there. So they had a staff, gate man. And I was trying to carry my books up. Of course, when they're carrying those books, they're heavy. And I'm coming alone. And this guy is busy. I'm begging him. But now I'm taking it like an entitlement. I'm angry at him that he's not helping me. And I'm lashing back at him. And this guy is looking at me. So he too got angry, lashed back at me. So I carried my books, got upstairs, and arranged them like this. But after a while, I just thought about it. What I did was wrong. don't talk to a stranger that way. And number two, just because it's security does not mean he must carry your goods. Ask for help politely. He's a human being. He deserves respect. So that's how I told. And went back to him. He was a security guy at that time. He's no longer security guy. So I now went back to him and told him, please, I'm very sorry. But I know the way I spoke to you is wrong. And I admit that I am wrong. So I frowned at him. And he took it to heart. He was really angry. He turned at me and said that if not that I came back, he had already marked my face. Do you know he came upstairs, bought books? We were still friends, friends. He bought books from me. There was a course I sold online. He bought the course, attended the class. He is still my customer. You've gone to army listening to one of the other books. He's the one I'm talking about. So I had frowned at him. And that's my, it will create a ripple effect that he will not purchase from me. I now went back to apologize. Of course, your process of apologizing is that you are exchanging kind words. It may not be necessary that you are smiling, but now you have soft answer plus a new words. And that was how I made a customer that I've stayed for a long time. He's been my customer for more than 3 years now. So imagine that I didn't go back to apologize. That I kept on feeling proud. That I was entitled to the security saw me carry me. Is it his call? You can decide what to do.
So that was it. The last question was who published the ancient scrolls? Erasmus or Paul? I know we are very discussing. Who published the ancient scrolls?
The ancient scrolls.
Who published it?
Paul.
I don't know.
Who is
Honestly,
Erasmus?
I don't know. I don't know who is Erasmus. I'm not talking about.
Erasmus.
Erasmus was the person that served Happy
Yes, Erasmus.
as his best friend, but he was working for him.
He wasn't the one who was handed over the scroll, right?
He was the one that was handed by the scroll. The scroll was with Erasmus at the end of the story.
It was with Happy.
Yes, Happy that Erasmus went to where the scroll was before Paul came. He already unveiled the scroll to Erasmus.
From Petrus.
So Happy.
From Happy.
Happy had already unveiled the scroll to Erasmus.
Okay, he took him to the place and showed him
Yes.
the secret behind his words.
So before Paul came in, so the question is who published the scroll? Paul. Is it Paul?
It's Paul.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. Like I totally enjoyed this review.
Whoa.
And I'm just thinking in my head, it's like push the time forward.
Yeah.
So that we'll have yes, because I don't like people working at night so much. This is our environment. So we can
Today was such a blessing.
so we'll push it to like so in the group, let's share our lessons, let's share how it blessed us so that at least others will be spot to attend. What I'm saying, I'm thinking that we should be pushing it to 3 so that we can come earlier and then get home earlier. But understanding that majority of us go to church. So that we don't go to church late. I wake up very early to go to church. So our book for next month is Talk Like 10. The thing for next
Oh my goodness.
the thing for next month is that we are learning on thank you so much. We're learning on public speaking, right? So the idea is to learn on the person I want to invite for this particular was the one who called me now. He's a public speaker. Mr. Kinsley. Mr. Kinsley. You know him? Yes, you know Kinsley. Yes. The young man is just married. I'm still talking to him, he hasn't agreed.
Oh,
I'm hoping that he does agree. So we're going to do Talk Like Ted, and the idea is that majority of us here are going to be public speakers. And even though you speak to a crowd or not, you eventually talk to people. So the idea is to develop our ability to be able to face a crowd and deliver a message properly. So invite people. I will try to. I know that my graphic design always comes late. That's another problem I need to check. So I'll talk to the graphics at least by tomorrow. Please, Barry, remind me on Monday. So let's see whether I spoke to the graphics. So let him make a design without the speaker first. So we'll use that one to drive publicity. And please, it's the last Saturday of every month. We have to move it because of what we call it, elections. So thank us so much for coming. I'm really grateful. This is me saying from my heart that I'm grateful. Thank you we went to answer a call. Thank you so much for coming. And my prayer, like I started, was that we would apply this thing to our personal. If I let us know in life skill, don't press dismissal. Just allow it to publish. End it, then allow it to publish. See, use the mouse. You won't be effective without that mouse. So I'm praying that as time goes on, we'll learn better technology, right?